girl Lacey Danelle here, back with y'all. As you can see, we are doing another chit chat vlog. I really do like these, so we'll see how it goes on the channel. But talk to me in the comment section. How have y'all been doing? Did you guys enjoy the last chit chat we did? But anyway, y'all, let's get into it. As you can see from the title of today's topic, we are talking about setting boundaries. Now, again, y'all, this is something I struggled with. As I mentioned before in a previous video, of course, boundaries do go kind of hand in hand with your self-care, because we have to know the limitations we have in especially saying no and yes to people, to things, to situations, to arguments, whatever it is. We have to have boundaries, and we have to know that it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to speak our minds and speak on certain things, but we kind of have to have a boundary with that as well. So the first thing I would say in setting a boundary with, now this one is something I just discovered for myself. It's okay to have a boundary in having a response to something that someone tells you or shares with you, especially a friend or family member. I have to let people know sometimes I may not respond the way that you want me to, and that is a boundary, because number one, I may feel that my response may not be what you want to hear, or it may trigger you because it's not what you want to hear. It's going to trigger you or make you more upset than you already are. So it's okay for me to have a boundary in just saying okay to you, or just saying, hey, I do understand, and leaving it as that. That is a boundary, people. It is a boundary because, again, I know my limits. Sometimes I may not have that advice that you're looking for or that advice you want, because I just don't. And as my friend or family member or whoever you are, I need you to understand that I do have a boundary to the response I may give to you in a situation. The next boundary, you have to have boundaries, and we all know this, boundaries with the kids. But for me as a mom, I find it very hard to have boundaries with them. And when I say boundaries, of course, the kids know my personal space, my personal time, just things of that nature. Side note, they do think that the roles have reversed, because they're to the point where now they don't even want me to question them. They're questioning me, trying to ask me where I'm going and what I'm doing and all that good stuff. But anyway, having boundaries with them. So as I mentioned, they know boundaries as far as my personal space, personal time, all that good stuff. But I find it very difficult to set boundaries with them when it comes to them asking for things and going places. And, sometimes in that, mom guilt kicks in. I did a video on mom guilt. I'm going to tag it in this one, so you should be seeing that right now. Make sure you catch up on that. But it gives me mom guilt when I don't set the boundary, and when I do try to set the boundary, because in trying to set the boundary, I feel bad. That's the mom guilt. And even when I do not set a boundary, I feel bad, because I definitely know that a boundary needs to be in place, because they do have to understand life is not all peaches and cream. They're not going to always get everything that they want. So definitely setting boundaries with them when it comes to, just in general, the things that they ask for. But they definitely know, where they can and cannot push the limit when it comes to certain things. I think the next boundary I would say I have to set now is just, kind of within friendships, because you do want to be a good friend, of course. You love your friends, you care for your friends, but you have to know your limitations on when to say, okay, friend, I can do this for you, or I can't do it for you. And even if you give your friend a yes, this is family members too, that yes can come with boundaries or limitations. Because, for instance, depending on the type of situation or help they're asking you for, you can definitely put a boundary on it. Because oftentimes we do want to say yes, or we know that we can, but we have to put limit and boundaries on the yes. So you're going to say, for instance, they ask you to help them financially. I'll go with, the biggest thing. You can say yes to it if it's possible, but what you're going to have to do is, within that yes, put your limitations and your boundaries. Okay, I can help you, but I can only help you for 3 months, depending on the situation. Or, okay, I'm going to help, but I need you to take care of this within, 6 weeks. So we definitely have to know, even if we do say yes or no, that our yes still can have limitations and boundaries as to wanting to help. Hold on, y'all. We're sipping and talking here. I think the next boundary I would say is having boundaries on how we communicate. Now, I say that because we have to have a boundary on how we communicate to ourselves and how we communicate to others. So, the last vlog was about self-love, and part of that is definitely how we talk to ourselves and think about ourselves. So we have to have boundaries and definitely letting ourselves know, hey, we're not going to talk to ourselves like that. We're not going to, say certain things to ourselves and about ourselves, especially the tone of voice we use. Because I talk to myself. I don't know about y'all. I do talk to myself. And you have to have boundaries on, the things that you say to yourself. And when you set that boundary on how you talk to yourself or communicate with yourself, you also have to have boundaries on how others talk to you, communicate with you. Especially, again, tone of voice. If I'm not going to talk to myself in a certain tone, I have that boundary to where I'm not going to allow other people to talk to me in that tone. So that's definitely a boundary we have to set, again, within ourselves and with others, and just let other people know, hey, I don't talk to myself like that, so I don't expect you to talk to me in that way. And also have the boundary to know, okay, if they're not going to respect your limitations, your boundaries, then okay, maybe we don't need to communicate. So that's a boundary within itself. And that is just all across the board, as I said, with yourself, with your kids, your friends, your family. Hey, I don't talk to me that way, so I don't want or expect you to speak to me that way. Next boundary. I would definitely say we have to set financial boundaries. I definitely do have to do it for myself. Just as I do with the kids. Because as I mentioned, part of self-care is, you want to buy yourself nice things. And of course, everybody's, financial situation is different, but I still feel like it doesn't matter where we are. You should still have a financial boundary on how much you're, willing to spend. Because I know oftentimes, even if we do have that money to spend, you sometimes buy or spend that money and then you kind of roll back and think, hey, did I really need to spend that amount? So you definitely want to set a boundary, in your finances, in your purchases. So I know we go all out when it comes to food, y'all, but I know everything else we do have to have that boundary, because it's, of course, just being financially fit, financially trained to know Okay, so once we set that budget aside, we do need to stick to that budget. Again, this is giving ourselves a boundary to know this is what I'm going to spend, whether it's on me, the kids, somebody else, and I need to stick to that budget. Have that boundary. Don't cross that line. I mean, circumstances may come up where you may have to, but set that boundary for yourself and say, hey, you know what? This is the budget and I'm sticking to it. Because we know right now, especially financially, it's hard on a lot of people, but we don't want to, I mean, some of us know we don't want to overdo things, and we just want to make sure that we're, again, being financially literate. So just have that boundary to yourself on what you're willing to spend as a, on yourself and somebody else, because again, you don't want to feel guilty, but what am I trying to say? You just want to make sure that you have that, basically that self-discipline. I know for me, certain things that I see, like y'all, I'm like a kid in a candy store sometimes when it comes to certain things. I'm like, oh my God, this is so pretty, and then I have to kind of stop, think, hey, give yourself that boundary, because number one, do you really need that? Or is it just because of how it looks? I mean, and I kind of have to put myself in that perspective of where are you going to use it? How long for how long? All that good stuff. So we do have to have financial boundaries, again, within ourselves, everything that we do. Another boundary I think we need to have is just, of course, this applies to if you're single and dating, or dating and not married, because if you're married, most likely you've already had this discussion with the other person. But we do have to have boundaries in our relationships, especially the early stage dating stages, whatever you want to say, because again, we have to know and what we're going to tolerate, what we're not going to tolerate. I know many of us may sit and write and say, hey, okay, these are the things that I'm not willing to budge on. These are the things that I'm looking for, the qualities. But even though we have those qualities, we have to have boundaries within those qualities. Because, for instance, you may say, okay, you're looking for someone that loves their family or loves their mom, but within that, okay, I need someone that loves their family and loves their mom. What's your boundary? Because oftentimes we've seen, okay, he loves his mom or his family, but is it going beyond, what's the word? Is it going beyond a certain extent to where it's being above you or too much for you? So within the things that you're looking for, the qualities, again, what are your boundaries? What are your limitations? What are you able to accept, and what's not acceptable? So, every aspect of our lives, there's a boundary to be put in place, because, again, saying yes, saying no, whatever we have, it's okay to have them, but what are our limitations? What are our boundaries that are in place to say, okay, even when I do this, or I speak to this person, or I offer my advice, or I offer my help. Sorry, y'all, my braces get on my nerves sometimes. But within all those things that we have going on, what boundaries are within the things that I'm willing to do? Because you can be willing to do something, but you still have to have a boundary set in what you're willing to do. So, it's not about just, oh, my boundary is a no, or my boundary is I can't do it, or my boundary is, again, whatever, you say. You can do things, but even within the things that you're willing to do, have boundaries in place. Especially because when it comes to other people, they have to know to respect you as a person. And part of that respect is just letting them know what your boundaries are. You want to set that tone and say, hey, you know, this is just who I am. This is what I'm willing to do. This is how far I'm willing to go. This is what I'm willing to tolerate. But on the flip side, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to accept this. You know, I'm not going to cross this line. And all the other things that you know, possibly going through. We are all in different situations. We all deal with different things. So again, we have to know our limits, we have to know our boundaries, and we have to make them, I'm sorry y'all, that's my timer, we have to make them known to others. So that is it for this vlog, y'all. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Talk to me in the comment section. Let me know down below some of your boundaries, some of the things that you definitely don't budge on, some of the things that where, okay, I can do this, but hey, I have a limitation on what I do. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. Give your girl a like, give your girl a subscribe, share with somebody, and definitely turn on your post notifications to know when these videos are uploaded. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.